Hi, my name is Deborah Hansen, and I'm the chef and owner of Taberna de Aro, a restaurant that's dedicated to the food and wine of Spain. And today we'll be discussing the wonderful wines of Ribera and how to pair them. The idea of pairing wine with food is to strike a balance. We don't want our wine to overpower our food, nor do we want our food to overpower our wine. The young wines of Ribera, the Vino Joven as it will be called on the label, those are exuberant, they're bright, they're about the fruit, they're all about the vintage, and they have a lot of tannin. And what goes best with those wines, the Vino Joven from Ribera, are a typical plate from Spain would be embutidos, which are cold meats, and also cheeses with a lot of flavor. In Ribera they would use sheep's milk cheeses, and those are typically very strong and they go wonderfully with the Vino Joven. Also, a legume dish would be wonderful with a Vino Joven. This is judillones con costilla, which is a classic dish from the region. And they're very large beans imported from Spain with pork rib. Goes beautifully with young wines. There's a lot of flavor there. There's paprika, there's enough fat. The tannin in a young wine is wonderful with a little backdrop of fat that we get from pork and from these creamy beans. Then if we move up a little to the Vino de Roble, and those are wines that have seen 4 or 6 months of oak time, of barrica, as it would be called in Spain. Also great with a legume dish, great with grilled meats, any meat with a little bit of sauce or some spice. Those Roble wines go wonderfully with spicy food. And then our next step up is Vino de Crianza from Ribera. And those are wonderful wines. There's still a good fruit presence, as always in Ribera wines, typically blackberry, often a hint of blueberry or black cherry, with this underpinning of forest. And those are perfect with any complicated dish that you might make that's meat-based, especially stews. This is Cordero al Chilindrón, which is a lamb stew with red and green peppers. And at the end, you make a lovely paste, a majada as it's called in Spain, with a dried choricero pepper and garlic. And you mash it up and you add vinegar. And you put that in at the end of your cooking. And vinegar can be a tricky thing to pair with wine, and Ribera wines work with it beautifully, especially Crianza, because it has the backbone to stand up to that. When we're talking about a more modern wine from Ribera, those really robust wines that are very extracted, they're sometimes called vinos de autor. I've prepared a somewhat more modern dish. These are pimientos del piquillo, and it's a variation on this lamb dish. We've cut the lamb very small and spiced it up a little. So there's some nutmeg in here and some tomato paste, and that would be wonderful with an alta expresión, a modern Ribera wine. So in your home, feel free to do anything that has a lot of flavor with these modern Ribera del Dueros. And when it comes to reservas and gran reservas, they're more elegant. Okay, the wood is less of a flavor and more of a feeling. And you certainly don't want spicy or overpowering foods. You want foods that are more elegant. And I've chosen a sautéed mushroom dish, setas con jamón. And these are oyster mushrooms with jamón serrano and a little bit of garlic, not too much. And this is the perfect foil for a more expensive wine. My rule of thumb is as you go up in price in wine, you want to go up in price in food, but down in complication. You don't want a complicated dish with a reserva or a gran reserva. You want the wine, which you've invested some money in, to speak for itself. So you give it a lovely backdrop. Chuletitas de cordero would be a classic pairing in Ribera del Duero. Just baby lamb chops. These are patatas al horno with a little bit of vinegar, just a hint, and a little bit of garlic, not too much, and roasted red peppers. This would be a beautiful dish to serve with a reserva or a gran reserva. They're very special. They're only made in the most important vintages, so we absolutely don't want to overwhelm it with a spicy dish or a complicated dish. We have to stick to what's more simple. And another typical thing from the region are pimientos asados with morcilla. Okay, these are, it's a blood sausage, very typical of the region, of Burgos to be precise. And this is the sort of dish that would go with almost anything. We have protein and then the sweetness of peppers, and it's wonderful with all Ribera wines. Salud con Ribera.